I've lived on a lake since I was in the second grade, and when I was younger, I liked to look for things along the shore of our property. I found lots of rocks, snail shells, and the occasional mussel shell. I remember thinking it was so cool that we had these shells in our lake. Back then, that's what I thought of them as, cool shells. I didn't know how important mussels are to ecosystems and how in danger we are of losing them. Mussels are the most endangered group of freshwater organisms in the world. Out of the 300 species found in North America, the Nature Conservatory reports that 70% of these species are extinct or imperiled. Wisconsin has 50 native mussel species, and the DNR reports that 24 of these species are endangered, threatened, or in need of conservation. One of these is the winged mapleleaf, a mussel that only exists in 5 rivers, including the St. Croix River in Wisconsin. The winged mapleleaf is a small mussel that grows up to about 4 inches in length. They have thick shells, are moderately inflated, and are greenish-brown, chestnut, or dark brown in color. There are faint rays visible in young shells, and they have 2 rows of bumps that extend from the beak of the shell, called an umbo, to the other edge of the shell. These rows are separated by a sulcus or an indentation in the shell. The winged mapleleaf is a habitat specialist that requires specific conditions to live. They are found in river riffles with clean gravel, sand, or rubble bottoms, and like all mussels, they require clean, high-quality water to live. This is because mussels are filter feeders. This means that they siphon water in and filter small organic particles out as sources of food. In this process, they clean their habitats, and water quality is often higher closer to mussel beds. Because of this, they are particularly sensitive to changes in water quality. According to Dr. Daniel Hornbach, a retired professor from Macalester College, one of the biggest threats to mussels is urban sprawl. While the St. Croix currently has relatively high-quality land along the riverway, the watershed is being increasingly impacted by the development of the Twin Cities and other Wisconsin and Minnesota cities. This has a negative impact on the river because of the amount of runoff, pollutants, and loose soils that makes its way into the watershed highly increases. Agriculture also increases the likelihood of a large pollution event. Some older mussels may be able to survive this pollution event, but young mussels and juveniles won't and will likely die. This causes the population to slowly become extirpated. Pollution isn't the only thing that can hurt mussel populations. Dams are often seen as a great source of renewable power, but they are detrimental to ecosystems, mussels included. And this is because of fish. Fish play an important part in mussel reproduction. During breeding season, female mussels release mussel larvae, or glochidia, to infest fish by attaching them onto gills and fins. Glochidia live on fish until they're developed enough to fall off and live on their own. Mussels, just like other parasites, are host-specific. Dams block these host fishes from traveling along the river. According to Matt Berg, a local malacologist, a dam essentially creates a separate, closed-off ecosystem rather than one open ecosystem where organisms can move throughout the river. Because of this, dams have caused the extirpation and extinction of many mussel species. If we take a look at the dam in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin, there are at least 10 species that are found below the dam that are not found above. This includes the winged mapleleaf. Besides isolating river species, dams also change the flow in the river from its natural state to being slower. This causes sediments to move slower and in turn bury mussel beds. One of the conservation efforts for the winged mapleleaf and other rare mussels was to change the dam to a run-of-river mode to mimic natural water flowing in a river. One of the ways to bring back mussel populations is through propagation. This is when fish are artificially infected with glochidia and raised in these specialized systems, or mesocosms, in hopes that juvenile mussels will be able to survive to adulthood where they can be placed back into rivers where their populations are dwindling or lost. Propagation has been successful at restoring populations of many mussels. Unfortunately, while the winged mapleleaf has had many propagation attempts, most of them have been unsuccessful, but not all of them. And malacologists are working towards making propagation a reality for conservation. Because of the overall lack of success, a large focus on the conservation of the winged mapleleaf is protecting its habitat so that natural recruitment can occur. Right now, natural recruitment still does happen, but it is not common. In Wisconsin, since the winged mapleleaf is found in the St. Croix River, its habitat is already protected because it's part of a natural scenic riverway, so a focus is on maintaining the quality of that habitat. A lot of what is done to help the winged mapleleaf is done at a state and a national level, but that does not mean the average person cannot do something to help. The first thing you can do is educate yourself and others. Another thing that can be done is to prevent the spread of zebra mussels. Currently, zebra mussels are not found at sites where the winged mapleleaf is found in the St. Croix River, but if people are careless, they can spread into their habitat. The winged mapleleaf is a unique mussel that has largely dwindled in population because of dams and pollution. Through efforts like propagation and habitat protection, they have been able to survive, but without the help and knowledge of the public, they, like many other mussels, could face extinction.